Hello, all of my crafty friends. It's Kiona, the craft therapist, here for another video for Create and Inkspire. And today I wanted to use some of the things that came in the September kit that I did not get a chance to use because I was out and about and doing some things, but this kit was super cool. And we're going to use this texture paste today. We're going to use the holographic embossing powder today. We're going to use this colorful sentiment set, and it has so many different sentiments that you can put together. I really like that. And we're going to use one of the images out of the main stamp set. So what I've done is I had my Cricut cut me out an paint palette, and I made it into a shape card, and then I just cut out another one that's about 1/4 of an inch smaller so that I could use it as a backing. So what I'm doing is I'm putting that behind the openings, and I'm just using my pencil to draw some circles. That's going to let me know where I'm going to be placing my texture paste. So here you can see I've put 5 different circles. I'm going to bring out my texture paste and one of the palette knives, and these are reusable. I know that they say throw away, but they're reusable. I brought out my distress inks in Barn Door, Wilted Violet, Peacock Feathers, Spiced Marmalade, Twisted Citron. Those are the colors that I've decided that I'm going to use. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a little bit of this texture paste on each of these squares to the right on my Tim Holtz glass mat. And I am going to mix in each color with the texture paste to create what I want to look like dollops of paint for each of these little circles that we've created. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm putting in like 1.5 drops of the purple color, and I'm going to use my palette knife, and I'm just going to mix it up until I get it to the consistency that I want. And then I'm just kind of dropping it down in there and trying to keep it right within that circle, but kind of moving it around so that it spreads around the edges. And then I brought in one of the other palette knives just so I could finish scraping off the rest of that. And we're going to do that for each of the colors. You can see how much texture that's going to end up having. I really just thought that doing this would provide a fun kind of look and texture for the card. When I first saw this set, the first thing that I thought was how cool it would be to make a card that looked like that little paint palette from the main part of the stamp set and recreate that on or as the actual card. So I'm so glad that I was able to make this come to fruition. So now I'm moving on to that green color, and again just mixing, and then I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm just taking it and dolloping it into the middle of the circle, kind of tapping it down and getting it in there. And once I get it all in there, then I'm using my palette knives to kind of spread it around a little bit. I don't want to flatten it, but I do want to have it going around in the majority of the circle. So what I did was I went into Design Space and I brought in a palette and I cut out about a 1-inch circle 5 times around the palette. And I did make this palette to be about the width of a card, about 7 inches. And then I just duplicated it, flipped one upside down, and then I welded them together and placed a score line. So that's how I created my card base. And then to create this panel that I'm using to actually put the dollops of paint on, I just duplicated one of the paint palettes and made it 1/4 of an inch smaller all the way around so that it would sit nicely on the inside of the actual card base. So it was a super simple card to be able to make, and I thought that it was a super fun and easy card to recreate. It probably doesn't look that easy, but it really didn't take that much. The biggest part was allowing this to dry. So now that we have all of this in there, I sat that aside to dry, and I'm going to start stamping out my sentiment on the front of the card. And I made sure that I had enough space to do this colorful. So I have the color and then I have the full, and I'm kind of placing these wonky, and so that I didn't have to worry about trying to make sure I got it straight. And I also brought out the paintbrush. So I'm going to put all of that inside of my Misty, and I'm going to bring out some different color dye inks. I'm going to use some of my Simon Says stamp inks in Orange Slush, Hydrangea, Audrey Blue. I'm going to use Duckling, and then I'm going to use Lipstick Red. And I'm going to use all of these colors on the front of the card. So the Make Today is what I'm using in the Lipstick Red. And then I'm going to use that Duckling to do the stick, the holder, the tip, the brush, I don't know, to do the end portion of the actual paintbrush. And then you see the color I did in the blue and purple tone. I brought out my sparkle pen, and I am going to use that silver Stardust to do the tip, and then I'm going to bring in my gold Jelly Roll pen to do the the brush port. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Words are so hard. Why can't I think of the word for the end of a paintbrush? Okay, so you guys know what I'm saying. That part I'm going to do in the gold color. Now, I also had the Cricut to write out my sentiment, and I cut another piece in silver glitter cardstock. I had the Cricut do some paint splatters for me, just so that I could kind of try to bring that same kind of idea from the front of the card to the inside. So I just used some scrap vinyl in different colors to bring that in, and I'm going to use a piece of contact paper to transfer that from the backing paper onto the actual cardstock. And I just wanted it to go all the way around and kind of look like it was splattering really close to the words, just to kind of give that cohesive look there. That was another super simple technique to be able to add to the card, just to provide some more texture and some definite appeal to the inside of the card. So the inside says in amazing shades of rainbow. So I wanted it to say Make Today Colorful in amazing shades of rainbow. So I thought that would be really cute. Just a kind of a high card, a thinking about you card. It could really double into whatever you wanted it to be. I didn't have any specific purpose or day in mind when I did this card. So that's going to be the inside of our card, and you can see kind of the texture and everything that we get from the vinyl. And I forgot, I wanted to use the holographic embossing powder to do the word color. So I put that back into my Misty. I'm going to bring in my Versamark Dazzle ink, and I'm going to bring in that holographic embossing powder that comes in the kit, because I thought that would add a little bit more sparkle and texture to the front of the card. And you guys know that I absolutely love my sparkle, so I had to do it. And that came out gorgeous. I was able to line it back up without any problems, and I was super excited about that part. So now we have our front, we have the inside, and we have our paint dollops here. So once I get that all dry, you can see here that it has dried. It dries with more of a matte finish, and it really does look like dry paint. I'm going to dry fit it onto the card. Once I get it how I want it to be, I'm going to glue all around the edges and around the circles of the inner piece, and then I am going to go ahead and glue that in. So this is how that is going to look. It's going to pop right through the inside of the card so that it all fits together on the front. Then I'm going to glue this inside piece into the card for us, and that's going to pretty much finish up our card for today. I thought this was super simple. It came out super cute. I love this kit and all the ideas that you could do with it. I hope you guys enjoyed this little inspiration, and if you decide to make something that you were inspired by, I would love to see it. So make sure that you get my information below and tag me. Have a great day.